Welcome to another PI World podcast. This is an audio-only version offered as another way to enjoy our great content. A full video version can be seen on piworld.co.uk, where you can find many more videos of interest to investors.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a presentation by Trackwise to Mello 2019. My name is Philip Johnston. I'm the CEO of Trackwise, and my colleague Mark Hodgkins, Mark the Wave, the CFO, is with us today. So thank you for your time and giving us the opportunity to tell you a bit about Trackwise. So who is Trackwise? I think one of our objectives of coming today is to introduce ourselves to the investor community. We're only fairly newly to the market, as I'll go on to explain, and Trackwise is an established business. We've just been celebrating this month our 30th anniversary, I think 4th of May 1989. So we're an established business manufacturing products using printed circuit technology. So they're not printed circuits as such, but they're products manufactured using printed circuit technology. So we have two divisions, which I'll go on to describe in a bit more detail. The RF products, making antennas primarily for the mobile phone industry, and really the breakout opportunity, the reason that we floated on AIM, is what we're calling improved harness technology, which I'll describe to you. We're based in Tewkesbury in Gloucestershire. We employ roughly 50 people. So going on to talk about the individual elements of the business, we were formed as a PCB design bureau. So in other words, taking electronic circuits and turning them into a physical PCB design. We moved soon after into manufacture. And in the mid-1990s, we were asked to make a 9-foot long printed circuit board. And if those of you know, probably most circuit boards are 9 inches in length rather than 9 foot in length. So with a bit of ingenuity, the company found a means of making these very large printed circuit boards, which were the early GSM 900 base station antennas. So around the towns and countryside, a mobile phone mast. And the top of the mast is a long grey cigar-shaped box, which is an antenna, and our printed circuit on the right goes inside that antenna. So this is the business that we've been executing for roughly the last 20 years. Largely exported. About 70% of our business goes to export. We've won a Queen's Award for export, etc. So these are primarily, but not exclusively, for the mobile phone networks. We also make aircraft guidance radars, roadside bomb detectors, but in general what we call the air interface of antenna applications. So the current demand is for 4G. But as I'm sure you're all aware of and probably invested in, there are 5G is coming around the corner, and we certainly hope, believe, understand that 5G is certainly going to require an extensive round of infrastructure investment for the mobile network operators, and Trackwise certainly believes that that is going to underpin the RF business going forward. Because this is a long-standing business, we've got long-standing, stable customer relationships. As we say here, 60% of our RF turnover has come from a top 4 customers over many years. So this is long-term, stable business. The primary role for the RF business in the integrated business is the fact that it has been the major investor into the breakout technology, which is improved harness technology. We've made money every year in the business, and those profits have been reinvested in later years in this new technology, improved harness technology. So what is improved harness technology? A flexible printed circuit board was developed 50, 60 years ago specifically to replace conventional wire harness, a bundle of wires. That was done in order to save weight and in order to save space. The reason that you can get your mobile phone inside your handbag or inside your coat pocket is because all of the wire inside that has been replaced by flexible printed circuits. So this is now what we call a TRL 9, TRL 10 multi-billion-dollar worldwide industry. but is really only used inside a box or equipment, inside your mobile phone, inside your laptop, inside an avionics box. So what Trackwise has done is with a manufacturing innovation, we have enabled a printed circuit board to be made of any length. So that is allowing not just the wiring inside a box to be replaced by wire, but the box-to-box wiring. So at wing level in an aircraft, at fuselage level in an aircraft, at body and white level in an automotive. So subsystem level, system level wiring that is previously done by wire. We've branded this innovation improved harness technology because the improvements that are achieved by this technology are many and varied. Weight is the principal benefit. 60-70% of weight or more savings. So which in any mobile application, weight is energy, which is fuel, which is carbon, which is cost. So the weight saving is a primary benefit, but certainly not the only benefit. So space, it's a flat planar item. It can be bonded onto or into a structure. For example, in a A-frame in a car, one of the facets of modern systems is that everybody wants more functionality, more sensing, more features, more feedback, more control. And how is that done? Either by using more wires. So in your car, if your A-frame is full of wires at the moment, either you make your A-frame bigger or you find a different way of interconnecting the cars. So, and this is true whether you're in aerospace, in medical, in automotive. Everybody is wanting more functionality in less weight and less space. And this is really the macro driver that is driving the business. And it's an important point to note is that these are proven benefits because these are not my opinion. These are proven benefits because a printed circuit board has been around for 50, 60 years. All that Trackwise has done is to remove any size limit. A flexible printed circuit board, 99% of the world's manufacturers can only make up to 2 foot in length. This is a historic limit. And a handful of manufacturers, literally a handful of manufacturers, can make up to maybe about 1 meter in the length. And our offering is length unlimited. So whereas before a customer would say, I've got an application, but oh no, my use of printed circuits are going to be limited by the supply chain, what we're now able to say to the customer is, your need is going to dictate it, not the supply chain. So, for example, last year was a very cold year in North America, and the wind turbine manufacturers were very disappointed to find that they couldn't use their wind turbines for a large proportion of the winter because they were iced up. So Trackwise has been approached by wind turbine manufacturers to say we'd like to put 60-meter long flex harnesses down our wind turbines for blade de-icing. So this is the point. Length unlimited means that it's the customer's need that limits the application, not the supply chain. This is patented technology. You get a prize if you guess why we've filed in all these locations. So that this is all the main airframe and manufacturing locations. So UK and Europe for Airbus, Boeing, China for Comac, Brazil for Embraer, and Canada for Bombardier. So the initial idea for this application came to us from Rolls-Royce. So they were looking to replace the wire harness inside their aero engines with flexible printed circuits. They'd heard about Trackwise, the fact that we'd made big printed circuit boards. So the original impetus came from the aerospace industry, and I will go on to describe that is certainly not the only application. As with any innovation, one needs to consider the competition. My experience has always been that the incumbent technology is the main competition. In other words, no change. An aircraft has been wired, so an engineer who was wiring a Lancaster in the Second World War would come back today and he would basically recognize the technology that's still in use in an aircraft. So no change is probably the biggest competition. But as I'll go on to describe, we are making some change for the reasons I've described. That there's a definite need or move on to new technology. As I've described, most PCB manufacturers can only make up to 2 foot in length, and there really are just a handful of people who can make some large circuits, and these overlap part of Trackwise's offering. But the IHT, which is length unlimited multi-layer printed circuits, Trackwise's offering is unique. So the patent is one protection. Our know-how, we have invested considerable time and expertise in the manufacturing methods, the software methods, the equipment that we need to manufacture the technology, the materials in which to use it. So that know-how is contained not in my head, but in my manufacturing staff, etc., in the team of Trackwise, and that know-how is a significant competitive advantage. And first mover. So one of the reasons that we came to market in July last year was because we are convinced about the market demand, and what we now had to do was to get on with it and bring it to market. The R&D is certainly not stopping. We've got several ongoing and active R&D programs to develop our technology further. The business strategy, based on the sustained foundation of profitable supply of RF products to the mobile phone industry, really supported by 4G and then soon to be 5G. Our vision is to turn IHT and Trackwise into a key supplier of technology into the aerospace, space, automotive and industrial sector, and through that to drive growth. And obviously, ultimately, I'm still the largest shareholder in the business, and our objective is to be delivering shareholder value. This is our first year of being a public company, so we have just announced our preliminary results. 2018 will go down as a busy year and a seminal year. So not only were we developing a product that no one else in the world can manufacture, but we also moved our manufacturing facility to new premises, and we floated on AIM. So we certainly had a busy year, and I'm happy to say a successful year. So we've moved to only a mile the other side of the M5, but moved to a significantly improved and larger operating site. And as a result of the investment that was raised as part of the flotation, we have started the process of investing in capability and capacity, as outlined in our prospectus. As an indication of the growing demand or growing interest in IHT, we have a sort of a metric where we record customers and close to customers, and that was 14 if this is for IHT, 14 at the time of float, 31 at the end of the year, and 45 at the end of March. So a very growing and rapidly growing and expanding list of customers and opportunities. Our financial report is available on our website, but as a few headlines, we grew our revenues significantly last year. We grew our IHT revenues, was up threefold in the year. Our operating profits and EBITDA were both significantly up, and thanks to the result of the flotation, we had a fairly healthy cash balance at the end of the year. So, as I say, the full accounts are available on our website to download. Go on to describe where we are today with IHT. Unmanned aerial vehicles. So I think I've described, we filed our patents in the main airframe and manufacturing locations. As I'm sure you're all aware, that the bringing in innovation into mainstream aviation is a long-term opportunity. But hopefully once we're in there, it'll give us a 20-year revenue stream. But a much more innovative, entrepreneurial, and faster-moving sector is the unmanned aerial vehicle. So we have delivered the first ship set for a wiring harness for a very large unmanned aerial vehicle, what they call a high-altitude pseudo-satellite. So this is an aircraft that's going to fly at 60,000 feet for 3 months at a time, using its solar power during the day and its batteries at night, and basically carry out any function that a satellite would otherwise affect. So either telecoms, Earth resources, presumably some military applications as well. Anyway, Trackwise has provided all of the wire harness for this aircraft, both power and data, and the customer has advised of a 60% weight saving. So it's not 6%, it's 60%. So a very material number, and a slight indication that one of the frustrations with the technology is that we are slightly at the mercy of our initial customers as to how fast they roll out, their technology. Anyway, this aircraft hasn't flown yet. It's due to be flying in the first half of 2019, and seeing as that's only 6 weeks old, 6 weeks to go, they'll hopefully be getting on with it. Anyway, so that's a very proud reference for Trackwise, and this is part of a Boeing company, and they've come to Trackwise from the UK to have all of their wire and harness for this flagship project. Industrial. So this image on the right is a large 7.5 meter long circuit which we're supplying to the Large Hadron Collider. So these are the particle beams that go inside that are spinning the opposite way around the tunnel under the Swiss countryside, and Trackwise is providing 7.5 meter long flex circuits which form very close to the core of the Large Hadron Collider. So this is likely to be a relatively one-off contract, but is a profitable contract, and one we're very proud of, to be at the heart of a flagship scientific program. On the wider industrial side, medical scanners, other medical equipment. So we're also just about to start work with a very large American medical equipment manufacturer, so for small thin circuits for catheter devices. So these are long circuits required in significant numbers, and is a very interesting opportunity for us. Civil aerospace remains the ultimate destination for the technology. We have got an ongoing development contract with a large UK Tier 1 supplier for ice protection. So along the leading edge of an aeroplane's wing is ice protection, so to stop ice building up. So traditionally this is hot air is bled from the aircraft and used to melt the ice, and are now using electrothermal ice protection. And this is likely to be Trackwise's first route into mainstream aviation. So this is a very exciting and interesting opportunity. Automotive is clearly a higher volume and probably lower margin opportunity for the business, and I think is unlikely to be the ultimate destination for the technology. But electric vehicles is a very rapidly developing space, and where there's quite a lot of development work is going on, including with UK OEMs doing quite a bit of development work. And we are doing a lot of work on electric vehicle battery pack development, and that is a very exciting and very interesting and a quicker route to market. We work on a general rule of thumb that a kilogram of weight saved is worth roughly $10 to automotive, $1,000 to aerospace, and $10,000 to space. And so there's quite a bit of interest in this in the space industry. So we have ongoing contracts for the European Space Agency and a large French satellite OEM in order to study the implications of replacing spacecraft harness with large flexible printed circuits, and more importantly with flexible solar arrays. So these are either the fold out or roll out strings of photovoltaic cells used to power the satellite. So in summary, this is not a new technology. Flexible printed circuit is a proven technology, and all that we've done is that we've released the application of this proven technology to a really vast new addressable set of opportunities with this manufacturing innovation. IHT revenues are growing rapidly and accelerating. We continue to see RF as providing a solid base on which we're building this breakout opportunity of RF, and a growing confidence that IHT has considerable advantages for the next generation of equipment across a big spectrum of platforms. And as I say, a growing visibility of when these development contracts are going to turn into production. This is patented technology. supported by the know-how, the experience, and the first mover advantage that was provided by AIM. So thank you. I would be happy to try and answer any of your questions. There's a quick one at the back.
Can I ask a quick question? How comfortable are particularly people like aerospace companies in using your technology when there isn't a second supplier available?
That's a good question. So it is possibly going to be a problem, but I think they are happy at this stage to develop the capability. I think we discussed earlier about our plans for a second facility. Our facility in Trackwise in Tewkesbury is a product development, new product introduction facility. So they're always with the intention that when we come to scale up, we would do that in another facility, whether that's down the road in a Trackwise 2.0 or whether it's overseas in a second facility. So it is certainly something that is going to be addressed, but in the short term, that hasn't been identified.
You talked about revenue growth. Could you just give a flavour as to what the market revenue expectations are over the next few years? What sort of growth per annum is sort of being talked at? I mean, is it in the 5 to 10%, or is it the 25% to 30% sort of territory?
So we've just finished 18. So 18 was 3 times 17. So this is for IHT or for the company?
No, it's just for the company overall.
It is considerably more than that. So the IHT is driving the growth, and that has increased 3 times last year. So 2018 was 3 times the year before, and I think 3 times 2016. So we're anticipating the rapid growth in IHT. Arden are our nomads, and I think they have a research portal where the research notes that represent the market view are available for download.
Yeah, just to clarify your prior answer to the previous question. So although you've moved into this new facility kind of only in the last year, if you got really big volumes, then what you're saying, you just need to invest in another facility to satisfy that demand?
No, we anticipate. I mean, it slightly depends in what form the revenue comes, because it slightly depends on square footage rather than revenue. But it's our expectation that the current facility is certainly good through the end of 2020.
2 quick questions from me, if it's possible. First of all, you talked about the Large Hadron Collider. I'd be interested in what their reason was for using the technology. Obviously, not worried about weight, I assume. What was driving their decision to use the technology?
So that is fundamentally for space. So what they, without going to, I was about to say without going to technical details, but I don't know the technical details. But they're called quench heaters. So if the superconductor magnet fails, they need to dump this power very rapidly, and to heat up the superconductor very quickly. So that needs to be flat, integral part of the as close as possible to the surface of the superconductor. So it's really the planarity, the flatness of the item. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. And second question, you talked about electric cars and batteries and replacing some of the existing technology around the loom and so on. There's been a lot of talk about building the battery into the body of the car and actually making it part of the structure of the vehicle. Is that an opportunity for you in terms of linking the various bits together?
I would be surprised if that happens personally. I mean, because I think a battery pack will not last as long as a vehicle. So therefore, in my opinion, I may be wrong, but in my opinion, a battery pack will need to be serviceable and therefore removable. Now, some people are. So the initial designs are take an engine out and the drive chain out, and you try and fit your batteries into that profile. And other people are now starting with a roller skate, basically a flat chassis, and putting batteries onto it. And that is obviously a much more efficient packaging process. But I must admit I haven't read about that, and maybe I'm misinformed, but that's not my understanding. But for the reasons I described. So. Thank you.
A lot of the opportunities you're talking about, they seem to be of people actually coming to you and asking about your technology. It's not you actually selling to them, is it?
I have worn my arse fairly shiny on aircraft around the world, going to talk to people. So, we issued a press release the other day, and that has got onto the cover of Electronics Weekly, and the phone really hasn't stopped ringing. So there's a mixture.
What I was really meaning is there's a lot of applications for your technology, but it seems to be that a lot of them, because there's so many, you're not aware of them. Do you know what I mean? There's so many possible applications.
I think I mentioned in my talk, I certainly should have done. I think it's both the the strength and the weakness. One of the challenges is that really the total addressable market is wherever wire is used. So, for example, we're talking to a Korean customer about making basically smart wallpaper, so you can identify where people are in a room and things by having sensing built into walls. So, one of the things that we've got to avoid is being like kiddies in a sweet shop, running around chasing every opportunity, and that's why I think that particularly as our revenues grows and our experience grows, we're going to gain greater confidence in the real sweet spot for the business and for the market and for the but I don't know who would have thought of a 60-meter long circuit for wind turbine de-icing. I'm afraid our marketing department didn't, and equally catheter device. So these. Maybe we should have sat down and thought about that from a blank sheet of paper, but I'm afraid my knowledge of industry is not But I think the opportunity is. I think we're going to have the opportunity to decide who we're doing business with, rather than being slightly reactive. But that comes as our confidence in ourselves and our technology really takes root.
Presumably, since you've published the technology for patent, the other suppliers around the world, of whom there are many, have looked at it and addressed the weight loss significance behind it, and are doing something about it. What's the buzz?
Well, so we did some business with a large US interconnect company, and I know that they did a lot of work in looking at our patent and seeing how they could get around it. And I know that they didn't find a way around it. My understanding is that it could be circumvented, but only in a wholly uneconomical manner. So in other words, a patent is never proven until it's tested in court, and I hope that it never comes to that. But we're confident in I think it's a good testament that the technology has been patented, but we're certainly not relying on that. And really, I think that the biggest protection is the know-how. So I had dark hair when I started this process, and it's there's been a number of bumps along the road, and those are big learning experiences. And so, for example, we've had to. One of the challenges has been to find equipment manufacturers who are able to, or willing and able to, modify their equipment to buy into our vision, to understand our vision, and to adapt their equipment to meet our needs. So in general, we're using standard printed circuit board manufacturing machinery, but with some not very subtle and very important tweaks. So we have got some exclusivity agreements with those equipment suppliers to try and put some barriers along the way. But yeah.
Can I just build on the question that came over there? I'm not sure if you answered it already, but I understood the point you were raising, that you've got 2 or 3 different USPs, and they appeal to different OEMs, in some cases large companies with whom you'd have to spend quite a lot of time before you get to a contract. And also the question behind me, which was, I think, looking at competition. And I just wondered if you have thought about how to manage the overhead and time risk of being pulled even just in 3 directions by 3 big companies in 3 different sectors, in terms of looking at suppliers who are already integrated into those sectors and somehow licensing out your capability so that actually you don't take on the overhead and the effort and just getting to a contract with somebody who probably isn't so good at dealing with an organisation as small as yours.
I mean, it's a very valid strategic point. So I think we talked about the capacity in the current site and where we want to go with sort of the next generation. And I think it's at that point it's likely that we'll say we're best suited to doing X here, and that the space, for example, should be licensed to Y, and therefore outsourced. So at this point in time, we're not feeling our way, but really just understanding the real benefits of this technology to different industries, and really understanding that. So it's a very valid point, and I think we said at the time of the float we couldn't be certain as to which industry, which application was going to be the breakout technology. And I think we've as I said in the slides, we've gained a considerable amount of insight even in that year. But it's so there's a industrial flow measurement manufacturer. So they currently wire their flow measurement sensors, and they want to use Flex because it's allowing them a much greater precision and reliability when they're doing the building. So it's all about the build cycle for them, the reliability, the consistency of their build cycle. So we're having to educate the market of the benefits, and at the same time really learning about the value of those benefits, what the market's prepared to pay for those benefits, but you're absolutely right. I think we're not going to be able to be a volume aerospace supplier, a volume space supplier, and a volume electric vehicle supplier, and I think that's certainly never the intention. I hope that answers your question, but. All right, sorry. Well, thank you all for your time. Thank you.
PI World videos and podcasts are for general information and interest. They do not constitute any kind of recommendation or inducement to buy shares of any company. PI World is not offering any kind of financial advice, and nothing in our material should be taken as such.